And I've just been told that we are getting we are ready for the next run here. So, coming up now is East Memories of Celceta by GhostKumo. Take it away.
Thanks, Argic. Hello, everybody. I'm GhostKumo, and as the name of the game on the stream layout, description, and here on the screen itself will tell you, this is East Memories of Celceta. This is a game that I've been running for a little over 5 years now. This is the PC version, which is the giga-busted version, as opposed to the only mega-busted versions that exist on other platforms. So joining me is my good friend here, Zelnu. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Zelnu. I also run this game, just not Nightmare.
There's a lot of overlap between 90% and Nightmare. Nightmare's almost kind of a meme, to be honest. But yeah, so before we get into this, this is the PC version, which has the turbo high-speed cutscenes. So cutscenes in this game are going to be very fast. We are going to just barely cover the story little bits by just little bits of it, but it's not going to make any sense, so don't try too hard to follow it or you'll be very confused. So I'll go ahead and give a countdown to tech for when we'll go ahead and start. When I say go, 3, 2, 1, and go. So the first thing you'll see, these very fast cutscenes here. Basic premise of this game is we play as the series protagonist. His name is Adel Kristen. He's this red-haired dude. This here is his buddy who only exists in this game, as opposed to his regular buddy who exists in every other East game. This guy's name is Duran, and he is important for various different reasons. One of the things that I like to meme about with this game is the roll, because it is really dramatic and really fast. One of the other things I like to meme about this game is that it effectively is kind of like if you had Sonic Heroes as an RPG, for a couple reasons. The color motif of the main characters that we use is kind of similar. 2, we roll a lot. 3, this game is broken as hell. And an additional bonus fact for the Sonic fans, because I know we'll have at least a few here. These two characters here, Adel and Duran, that I'll be using for the majority of the run, they're voiced by Kirk Thornton and Bryce Papenbrook, who do the voices of Shadow and Silver respectively in the Sonic universe now. So yeah, even more ties to the lore there. I'm menuing this terribly. So Zelny, you want to explain the basics of combat here real quick?
So the basics of combat is you have your just your normal attack, and you have skills, and the skills use the sort of blue bar, sun bar on the right that you can see. As you do basic attacks, you get points that give skills, and you also see different damage types here, or I think you already passed that, but different damage types. Adel has slash damage, and Duran has crush damage, I guess. I actually forget.
Strike damage.
Strike. And certain enemies will have certain weaknesses, and they will resist the other types.
And that barely matters. Only a little bit in this dungeon, because we do a little bit of... Is there a mole that I just missed? No. Okay, this cutscene was really slow. We're doing a little bit of grinding to get to level 2 here, because the first boss of this run is the hardest part of this run, and I'm not even kidding. So real quick, you see me getting a flash guard there. Flash guards are basically perfect, like semi-perfectly timed guards. Give me a couple seconds of little crits, a couple seconds of no taking damage. Just picking up some resources along the way here, because again, this first boss is really tricky. I made a little mistake here. Okay, my allies were set to not do anything. It's a little bit of an optimization there. Alright. I'm gonna pick up this item here for safety called the Rota Droplet. It's basically a Phoenix down, recovers one character from dead with 10 HP. And here we are on the final boss, or final boss, first boss, first boss, and arguably the final boss because of in terms of relative difficulty.
I mean, that's fair.
This guy hits pretty hard, and I only have a limited amount of resources. And this boss is an absolute joke on every other difficulty, but randomly on this difficulty, like most things in Nightmare, he's pretty unbalanced.
It's just the general trend of RPGs early on not having enough sort of resources or anything to deal with.
So one thing you'll see me doing a lot here is actually spamming the flash guard. If you flash guard an attack, you have a few frames to do it again, and this game has double binds, so you can just mash several buttons that are all bound to guard. And what that's actually doing is replenishing my extra skill, which is the big flashy finisher skill. That replenishes with flash guards and any skill usage. This is effectively how I'm able to stand here and just take hits, and all the boss here has been very cooperative. Alright, so I actually got crits for my finisher here, and I filled up his stun meter, which means that he's going to go down very quickly. There we go, that's the first boss, and probably the hardest part of the run. Yeah, it's all glitchies from here.
Oh boy, is it.
So you actually saw a little bit earlier, I went into my cutscene viewer to watch like a memory cutscene, and that allowed me to skip past a gate. Yeah, we casually just kind of ignored that. But yeah, that's, the memory cutscenes reset character position, which is very important for a number of glitches in this game. Alright, Zelnu, can you please do me a favor and explain the map? Because we're about to get the map.
Okay. So the map is the most broken item in this game, because it allows you to, having the menu open, advance the game by 1 frame. I think it's only 1 frame. It might be a bit more. I don't remember the exact details. So if you talk to an NPC and bring up the menu at the same time, normally you would just have the menu open and the dialogue wouldn't start. But if you open the map twice, it advances the sort of dialogue enough that you have both the menu and the dialogue open. This allows you to hide the dialogue with a button and move with it open, which makes any cutscene triggers or basically just any events in the game not happen.
Yeah, so we're repeating this cutscene here, so it allows me to get 3 characters. So this cutscene's set to happen about 40% of the game. We just forced it like 5 minutes into the game by effectively just using what is called text storage to just force events. I'm actually hiding a text box. I'll go ahead and just leave it on there. I normally keep this hidden because I think it loses a little bit of time on loads because it has to appear on screen. But I have a text box just on screen, and as long as the text box is on screen, all scripted events do not happen.
And they're actually, I think how Jado explained it is they're queuing up in the background.
Something like that. But we're just running right past all of them. There's a whole bunch of little cutscenes that play along the way. And I need to keep this with me up until I get all the way to the second dungeon of the game. This guy here is just a down-on-his-luck soldier stuck at the inn that we're gonna, like, literally use his message of how, like, nervous he is about talking to a cute girl at the bar, and just leverage that until we can just skip straight into the first dungeon. Because in doing that text storage, we picked up a third-party member. Her name is Karna. She's supposed to join us before the second dungeon at a different point in time, and then rejoin us about 40% of the way into the game, but we forced that instance instead, so now she's in our party for good. And the game is set to a state about 40% of the way through the story right now. Alas, I do need to pick up something in the second dungeon, but we're getting to it after it was supposed to have completed, so by storing the text box, what that instead is going to do is, it's kind of like whilst text boxes are stored, every room is set to its, like, original state, so long as you don't interact with anything. And I need to set their first dungeon's first room to its original state in order to enter it, because Karna has the ability to sever suspended cables, but I can only sever the suspended cable that allows me into the second dungeon if the game hasn't already considered the dungeon completed first, which it has, so long as I'm not text storaging. This is just the most convenient text box to take, since I can hold on to it, so long as I don't accidentally press confirm or cancel, which my dodge roll button is thankfully not. You got a quick moment for a donation here, Argic, or any plugs you want to make, because there's going to be a lot more glitches coming up soon.
And I am looking forward to them. Nothing at the moment. We do know it is getting a little bit late in that, but please do keep your donations coming in if you are so inclined. Every donation amount helps, and we appreciate them all.
Yeah, originally part of why I submitted to this was, I don't know, I wanted to do some sort of charity thing for, you know, mental health, because I think a lot of people can have quite a number of experiences about the last year and a half, and I mean, I do enjoy speedrunning, I do enjoy marathons. I kind of thought about putting something on myself, but, you know, the logistics of that are very difficult, and I saw Amber posting about it, and I thought, hey, I should submit to their marathon and, you know, even offer to help out, so.
Always good, and I know the help is definitely appreciated, you know. As you say, the logistics of running a marathon are not to be understated. And
they really aren't.
and neither are people's mental health. Like, as you say, just this last year and a half has been pretty dang hard, so.
I'm gonna try and navigate around this lion. He can one-hit kill me, and it's probably the enemy most inclined to kill me. Alrighty, so we're coming up on the second dungeon here. We completely skipped every scenario leading into this, so pretty much all scripted events will not happen as soon as I enter here. Switching over to Karna, because she can sever the suspended cable, and now I finally clear the text box. There are backups in case I lose it, but this is just the most optimal way to get through this.
Leave it to me.
Come on, Duran. So I really just need to get to the midpoint of this dungeon in order to get the dwarf bracelet, which is an item that lets me shrink down to a very small size and get through certain little holes. There is one instance in which this, like, there's a couple instances where it's useful, but there's one instance where it's required, and because of that one single instance which we can't seem to glitch out, unfortunately we have to take this extra trek here. There are still some significant skips left that could be found and probably bring this run down even further, which is saying something when it's a about a 30+ hour RPG, or 25 if you skip a lot of things, just done in, like, well, my PB is a little over 40 minutes. Alright. Also, the music in this game absolutely bangs. I love the music in this series. And this is, I would say, one of the weaker soundtracks in the series, so, like, that's just saying something. Each series has fantastic music. Now, we're gonna go get the dwarf bracelet, but instead of doing it as intended, we're gonna just, which normally you'd have to fight a mid-boss here, but we're not gonna bother with that. So Zelda, do you want to explain the better B skip?
The better B skip. So using the similar trick with the map, sorry, let me start from the beginning. You're gonna roll and switch characters on the same frame or just after, so that a character is standing on the boss start, and you're going to use the map to be moving in the boss intro cutscene. This allows you to grab the item without starting the boss proper by using the memory menu, which puts the game into a weird state where things are kind of simultaneously in boss rush and not. Sorry, I was kind of mixing steps up there when I was trying to explain it.
Yeah, so basically load up the memory menu, go to the map, and if the screen fades to black, that means that I performed it correctly. The boss intro cutscene is going to play, and then we're going to load a memory, and then go into this menu where it's in a weird state, and effectively use that to just enter a boss fight and exit a boss fight without ever having triggered it, as if nothing ever happened. And as mentioned, you can hit a confirm input and open the menu on the same frame, which is the biggest reason why text storage works. But there is also a slight optimization to doing that while grabbing the dwarf bracelet, because there's a little tutorial screen that plays and you can move around while that happens. Going out there, you just do 7 neutral rolls, which is not having your finger on the stick, and just rolling straight down and then doing the same trick again, rolling, quick swapping to a character as your first character hits the loading zone for the boss trigger, and just canceling it out, essentially. Oh, I went the wrong way. I was checking something to make sure. I was checking something to make sure that like nothing was going wrong, and then something went wrong.
And all that works because only the character you're controlling can actually start the boss. So the side characters being in the boss trigger does not start it.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, so again, we're set to a state after about 40% of the way into the game, which is after having completed the second and third dungeon. The third dungeon is supposed to be nearby, but we're not going to even bother with any of it. So we're going to do that really quick to set the story state where we want it to be, and then we're going to text storage off of this NPC here, and I can confirm that it worked because the character talked to me. Thankfully, you can bind buttons to multiple inputs, and as well as you can bind multiple buttons to the same input, which is how I am able to basically guarantee talking to something and opening the menu on the same frame. I have that bound to my L3 button. It's really cool that the developer, or at least the publishers of this game, had a number of accessibility functions in mind when they ported it to PC, including being able to bind pretty much every function to up to 3 different buttons. So coming up here is actually the entrance to the 4th dungeon. I would have had to complete the 2nd and 3rd dungeon and then kind of solve the puzzle here, but we're just going to force it open anyway. So a bunch of cutscenes are going to play all at once. And then I'm going to do a very quick little mouse puzzle. I already know the solution to it. And that's now entering the 4th dungeon. As you see, I'm at level 2 right now. We're not going to be doing combat for a little while, because this game is giga-busted. But there will be some combat as we get further on in the run. Nightmare difficulty does matter a little, which is about a difference of 10 minutes from any percent. I'm going to do a quick little dash here. I don't actually have the ability to swim underwater yet, so we had to kind of come up with some clever workarounds to get under here. In fact, Zelnu here found this current strat that we use to
get underwater, which
use the dwarf bracelet and then memory to kind of set your character to fall in the water, and they fall just far enough down that you can get under the little ledge that the game kind of wants you to get under there. Yes, very cheesy video game. There's so much cheese in this game, it's absurd. And here we have the patented Falcom violin rock track, which automatically makes it one of the best songs in the game. Don't at me. Gonna come up on a little glitch here. This only saves a very small amount of time, and oh god, everyone's hit with heavy. This is so bad. Oh no.
Oh no.
Okay, I can still perform the glitch here. So I'm gonna go up to about this position here. And then my characters are gonna enter the little mouse hole at normal size, which saves actually a little bit of time if you execute it perfectly, but I of course didn't because I got hit by heavy. And then we're gonna, oh god, he's still hit with heavy. Alright, I'm gonna make another safety save here just in case I mess this up. Thankfully saving is instant. Go up to about the 4th step, and actually this is a different strategy. I use my character's extra skill, and this is actually a glitchless way to bypass a boss trigger. It's slightly faster than doing the memory trick, but it's also important because I don't want to trigger the boss and do the any percent strategy, because that stores a boss flag. So here's a gravestone marked with Adol's name on it. There's a whole story reason behind it. Effectively, he had the dark, powerful MacGuffin in his hand, and these characters in this upcoming town thought, hey, there's no way he would have let anyone have this because it's way too powerful. So he must have died. So we buried it with him. Of course, his grave's already been robbed, but that kind of gives us a clue where to go next. Which is this next area called Highland. I want to, again, keep a text box on here because all the scripted events that happen in this town will not happen so long as this is on screen. It's kind of foreboding just seeing my main character's just grave. The headstone thing just on the text. Like, here is your run. Rest in peace. I normally keep this hidden in PB attempts, but I figured it's a little more funny to have on screen in a bit of a macabre sort of way, but also to kind of show what I'm doing. So this next area, if you've ever played Final Fantasy X, you might be familiar with this idea of dodging lightning. In this game, it's scripted to automatically hit you, but we're gonna get around that because there's a workaround for just about everything. Over the past 5 years, we've turned this game from about a 3-hour game to any percent can be done in about 29.5 minutes. Alright, so right here, a scripted event is going to play. This will play regardless, because it's tied to a memory. For whatever reason, cutscenes tied to memories seem to happen automatically. And we're going to get our fourth party member, which is this perky little girl named Kalilika. She's level 22, to give you an idea of where we're supposed to be at right now. But she can activate lightning rods.
And you might have noticed there are 5 characters in that cutscene.
Yes.
We don't get.
Yeah, we don't get the
Third party
fourth.
member.
He's kind of just the
Fourth,
ghost that
yeah.
lurks in the stream. Yeah, thanks, Jado. Everyone blame Jado for breaking this game. So you'll see me opening the menu. I can check on my minimap which areas are safe, noted by the purple radius, but anywhere that's not, I get struck by lightning every 2.1 seconds. However, this timer is global, which means that if you have the pause menu open, it strikes in the background and you don't get hit. Just how I'm able to skip past here, which this is supposed to be the 5th dungeon of the game. I took that, like, extra safe. But yeah, there we go. So that just skips the 5th dungeon. We are level 2 at a point of the game where the game's expecting us to be, honestly, close to, like, level 30. So any one thing that I run into is going to kill me, so I do need to be careful of enemies nearby. So coming up next, we have a trick that I refer to as Coral Skip, because of the scenery in the background. And I'll have you explain that one, Zelnu. Basically, I'm just going to be doing counting in the background, because I'm going to be repeatedly doing something that might not make sense to the naked eye, so yeah, if you could go ahead and explain what Coral Skip is.
Okay, so as was kind of explained earlier, when you load a memory or watch the cutscene, it resets the position of your characters, and your 2 party members will always be one on the top left and one on the top right of where your current character is. So by playing the cutscene, switching which character you have active to the one that is in the top left, playing the cutscene again, you will slowly be shifting your characters up and to the left. And by doing this out of bounds, you just hit the loading zone eventually.
2. Yeah, there's a loading zone in the background. 3.
And normally you're supposed to go all the way around, go through a whole other town with a boss, to even get to this other area, and the loading zone itself is actually behind an
7.
item that you're supposed to get even later than that.
8.
This is actually a very large skip, because it's
10.
actually skipping the whole town and the dungeon, or not the dungeon, and a couple bosses.
12.
Although due to some shenanigans that will be happening very soon, we will be seeing that town and boss
Yeah.
that are being skipped.
Yeah, so I didn't really explain how I got out of bounds, but essentially if you have a character in water, their like coordinates are set to a lower position if they despawn, which I do by quick swapping my character out for one in the menu. And then I respawn them at a higher point, and then their Z coordinate is set to being underneath the floor, which allows me to get out of bounds. Now, normally there's a kill plane at the very bottom of the out of bounds, but by repeatedly doing that, my character's set back and to the left and right, but also conveniently they're set vertically. So by performing the quick swap there in the menu 12 times, and then loading a cutscene, 12 times, that effectively positions me in a position where I can hit a loading zone that's not meant to be accessed until significantly later in the game. And so right now I'm just doing a couple of shortcuts here. And right here I'm going to do a text storage, but I'm going to do it off of this sapling, which means that I have to menu with my mouse cursor because I can't hit confirm or cancel, and I can't hide the text box for this case. And so I'm going to roll over to this warp point, which I need to do text storage glitches. I need to leave the screen that I'm on. But I'm going to repeatedly roll back and forth here. And what this is going to do is it's going to re-trigger this cutscene multiple times. This particular cutscene is tied to a side quest. So weird stuff's going to happen, but it's actually going to complete the side quest cutscene multiple times. And I clearly did this way more than I needed to. And I'm just going to... You only need to do this about 4 times, and I ended up doing it like 6. But the reward for the quest is 25,000 gold, so I just stack that and just generate mad cash. So I'm going to buy some safety healing with my extra money, and then buy an extra weapon for these 2 nerds, because that will come in handy. Text storage off this NPC, which is about the only one that I can right now. Try and leave town, and then once I close this text box, it's going to force the cutscene. It's going to force the cutscene before I enter this town. So this is Frida. She's our final party member. She actually isn't in the any % route anymore because you don't need her, but she's really useful for damage for an upcoming fight that we really don't have a skip for. So we need somebody who can do damage in that fight, and she conveniently joins the party at level 30. She's also my favorite character because she has a giant axe, and I love halberd-type polearm weapons. Like an axe on a giant stick. Alright, so there's a boss here. This is Solgalva and Lisa, and I kind of hate them both for differing reasons that have to do with older versions of the route. Alright, but yeah. Now, Frida importantly has a skill called Strength Up, and it's supposed to be a buff. One unintended side effect of this skill is you can flash guard your own buff for some reason. I think this is just straight up a bug. So the weakness of this boss is his feet. Worth noting, my allies cannot die unless I'm controlling them, so right there I failed a guard and just got one shot because Nightmare is a thing. But I have some backup healing if I need it. Honestly, more than I need to, but
Always better to have more in Marathon.
I generated more money than I meant to. Now, Frida's really fun because her skills actually have like an aiming component, and there's a lot of resource management with her character. The problem is her Cactus Drive skill loves to just hit nothing. So this fight can be really annoying because both feet have their own separate hitbox. And sometimes she'll hit one, sometimes she'll hit both feet, sometimes she'll just split the uprights and you get nothing. If you hear me mashing, it's because I'm hitting all the confirmed prompts because literally none of the dialogue choices in this game matter. Alright, so unfortunately I don't have the warp anywhere ability yet. I can only warp between between these monuments, but I set up a couple warp points that I'll be using later, and very soon I'll be getting the ability to warp everywhere. Excuse me. So upcoming here is going to be the frogs, and we're gonna go ahead and do one more mouse puzzle. There's a couple things that involve the mouse in this game. It's not the only way to do them, but it's the fastest. So this is Ruby Roy. It's a giant frog. We're not going to fight him just yet because by advancing past the 5th dungeon before you've completed it, anywhere that I would take a death, I actually warp back to the front of the tower, which is basically means I'm going to just death warp right now because it's actually convenient. Alright, so we warp back to the tower, and then we're going to warp back to the town that I was just at before, and there's a fight here where after the fight, I get the ability to warp anywhere. And the reason I died to the boss is if you ever exit a boss, the game considers you in a boss fight until you clear any sort of forced encounter. Which it doesn't necessarily mean a boss itself, but like any encounter that's like forced upon you where you can't escape, like you have to fight it out, which is very abusable because everything in this game is very abusable. And so we exited that fight and then just forced the fight that's supposed to trigger in this area instead. So the bad guys have the Mask of the Sun, which is very bad. So we need to follow them to the end game. Bunch of story stuff's just happening. But we get the Golden Wing, which lets us warp anywhere. And conveniently I have a, I warped to the wrong spot. Don't go there till later. Conveniently I have a checkpoint set up. But I'm gonna ask one thing from you, chat, and that is to please post your frog emotes. OS Frog is a good one, because holy moly, this fight can be the least cooperative thing, and it's the biggest reason why Nightmare is like 10 minutes slower than any percent and not like 6. So you can actually keep him in a perpetual state of stun lock with Frida's 20 and 10 SP skills, Hurricane Spin and Demonic Vortex. Demonic Vortex is really good for AoE crowd control, whereas Hurricane Spin is just takes less SP. I'm getting very good luck on my allies here. So allies acquire skills based on level and how far in the game you are. And conveniently, when an ally learns a skill, which remember, my characters were level 2 and have done exactly one fight since then, or exactly 2 fights. And every time they get a new skill, their SP, my SP meter replenishes to full. I don't know why this is the case, and it only happens with allies in particular. That was a very good frog. That was a really good, solid frog, relatively speaking. Alright, so I'm going to open the menu as soon as I get this item to skip the little tutorial of how it works. Effectively, the Beast King's Claws lets me move about 12% faster, but also lets me break Coral Rock, which is needed to advance the story. And that's the main reason why there's no way to skip the frog.
Yeah, we haven't been able to find a way past that coral that was just broken or the next bit just before the next boss.
And so here, Adol is actually the fastest character. It's important to note that I have Adol and Frida in the party together. It's not necessary anymore, but the two of them together means that I get a slight strength bonus. This is true of 2 characters of any similar type, which was a little bit important for a previous fight, and I forgot to equip the Beast King's Claws again, but it's only like a 1 or 2 second time loss. Alright, here's where things are going to start to get quite tricky. So once again, I'm going to do the memory trick to enter the boss cutscene, and then just completely bypass the boss trigger by loading the memories menu several times. And so that boss never happened. But we do need the boss trigger there for one more thing coming up, and that's where the game is going to get just omega broken.
Oh boy.
So really quick here, I'm level 21. This is the level that I'm going to complete the game at, just as a spoiler warning. There's about 3 more dungeons left in this game, and we're not going to do any of them. I made a mistake. I should have switched to Frida there. It would have saved me about a second of time or so. But whatever, it's fine. No, none of this is intended whatsoever. In fact, we break the game so hard that we use other broken things to unbreak the game to get it to do what we want. It's actually a remarkably well-programmed game. Like, most of this nonsense wouldn't happen if this game wasn't well-programmed. I'm not even making this up. A lot of these things you're not going to encounter in casual play, which I think the fact that, like, all this stuff works, like, is actually a sign of good programming rather than bad programming. I know a lot of people like to dump on their speed games for being badly programmed anytime they're this badly glitched, but I honestly commend the developers of this game, Neon Falcom, who are the light of my life and also the bane of my existence at times. Depends on which game I'm playing of theirs. Alright, so I have to do that to actually be able to talk to NPCs here, because I need to spend my money on better weapons. Alright, so Rune Blade for Adel, Rune Glaive for Frida, and I think I have enough healing. So next thing I'm gonna do is warp back to the previous boss, and Zelda, you want to explain what the heck happens in the end game here?
I will try the best as I can. So, using the same sort of trick we've been using to have the bosses loaded, or the boss intro cutscene loaded, we are going to the end game with the boss intro cutscene playing in the background. Going to another cutscene, and then with the menu open. So when the first cutscene, or the boss intro cutscene ends, the next one will start with the menu open, and this allows us to move in the cutscene. There's also a certain amount of map usage because it's required to actually advance some of the frames to get this all to start. So as you can see, Ghost is moving in this cutscene, and part of this cutscene is that the door to the final dungeon is going to open.
Yeah, we actually come here earlier in a story scenario where we're supposed to open the door, and then the big bads show up and just, like, beat us up, and then we have to go find a second key to get in, which is where the final 3 dungeons come into play. Well, 3 of the final 4, I should say. This is supposed to be the final dungeon. The final dungeon is actually quite meaty, like, I want to say half an hour of a less glitchy speedrun. But yeah, so this cutscene plays, and Adel opens the final dungeon, but we're gonna walk right in as he opens the door of just sheer cutscene power.
Way.
Yeah, and so this scene right here actually, because of what happened before was because what basically what happened before was on a boss, like I used a boss trigger, we're in a boss state, and conveniently, the trigger for endgame is this encounter right here at the very beginning of the final dungeon. So by just pure happenstance, we skip what is effectively the final dungeon, like, instantly. So we just trigger the endgame, which, we need to get the big, dark, powerful MacGuffin, I'm menuing so badly right now. The dark, powerful MacGuffin, which is the Mask of the Sun. The big bad has already used it, and he's tried to rewrite history. We defeated him, but his phantom remains, and will not die until the mask is destroyed. So we need to do the we need to get rid of the mask using the most powerful thing we have access to, which in this game's case is a volcano. So we're just gonna Lord of the Rings all this nonsense. Yep. Whoopsies. I never know when these fire plumes are gonna end, so I just kind of work around it. So yeah, we're running straight up to the final boss. And I should have everything I need to beat him. Now, I'm level 21, and this is the final fight, which is a one-on-one duel. Or it's supposed to be a one-on-one. I'll explain Lisa in a second. But he scales a little bit to what I have. And so I can actually do just enough damage to make this fight work. Problem is, he 2-hit kills me if any of his attacks connect. Thankfully, he's a very easy fight, and he's not meant to be very difficult, because he's meant to be like a little bonus after you beat the final boss. But he can still just own me. That being said, I have Lisa here. She's an escort in the second-to-last dungeon, and by having her as an escort in the second-to-last dungeon, she can't die, and she actually heals you anytime you take damage in the dungeon. Because her scenario never happened, the sequence moves to here instead, and so she's just here in the final fight of the game, healing me anytime I take damage. The problem is, sometimes Gruta here likes to aggro onto her, which is really bad. Come on, Lisa. Oh no. Okay, this is bad. Alright, thankfully you can open the menu while this happens. No. This is why I bought a lot of backup healing. Yeah. Ideally he stays aggroed onto Adol, which means that I can actually perfect guard his skill. But unfortunately I couldn't get the perfect guard. The funny thing is I used to, like, irredeemably hate Lisa because so much of this game's story happens because of her stupidity, gullibility, or not noticing something important. Plus, they force an escort mission onto you, and so the escort character tends to be like the most disliked character. But because she's useful in the speedrun now, because we got rid of the escort mission, I actually like her again. Which I say again, as if I ever did. Now, unfortunately, she gets hit a lot, but she's invulnerable, so we thank her for her sacrifice. When I did this run for RTA in Japan, somebody drew fan art with her, and I was like, this is the first time I've ever been happy to see this character. Yeah, this fight scaled a little bit to your level, but my strength is what matters, and I don't have a lot of strength, so I'm basically just nibbling away at this guy's health bar, and that's the final boss. Like, the actual final boss. Not the boss I think they intended as the final boss, but the final fight nonetheless. Alright, time is coming up very shortly, so I'll let you know, and time. On my end, I got a 41:24, which, it's not my PB, but it's better than my leaderboard time, because I didn't save my PB, so... Fake PB, let's go.
Woo! GG's.
My last marathon run of this had a death, so I'll take that.